03 Sterling, and did a fuel filter, diagnosed loose underbody trims, which are the fuel filter cover and the front left fender liner. They're just shredded, need to be replaced. So we got those on order. They're coming in tomorrow. Fuel filter was 2008, really old fuel filter. So improving some M5s, 123,000 miles on that 03. Tuesday, what do we got going on Tuesday? So lots of work on the Canadian M5 today. The center console's back in, everything's wired. That got rid of a bunch of codes. Before that, we went out on a little test drive today, just a 1/10 of a mile around the shop complex with the transmission plugs in because we don't have the block offs yet. And that revealed an error in our wiring. The RPM sensor was not communicating. We didn't get this code starting and idling in the shop or key in position 2, none of that. Had to go out and drive, and then we had an error for that. So there's 3 pins on that. It's actually not part of the transmission harness. It's part of the wiring harness from the engine that stayed with the car. So the RPM sensor monitors the input shaft revolutions. Up here, it's a 3-pin connection. And the power and it's fused 10 amp and the ground stay. We don't make any changes with the manual transmission conversion. What we do change is where the signal goes. The signal used to go to the SMG ECU. Obviously that is no more. So that needs to move over to the DME. It's X60002, the black connection on the small pin block, pin number 22. So we chased that. Turns out we got the wrong wire. We had the right wire, and then we said, oh, it's the black one, so pull the black one out. Well, one of us pulled the wrong black one out. So kind of our fault for not retesting that after we got it done. So we made that minor adjustment up in the DME box, used ISTA, and it's pretty neat. So with the transmission in neutral and the clutch pressed in, it'll show your engine RPM at like 800, transmission RPM at 0. Let the clutch out, mind you, it's still in neutral. Boom, now the input shaft starts turning with the clutch released, and the RPM should match. So that's fixed, got rid of that code. Then we had some RLS, rain light sensor communication issues. We chased all that. None of what we've done has affected that wiring. I think the key got flipped off when it was trying to read that module because it went away and the sensor's working for both rain and water sensing. We put the DME box back together, tightened it up, made everything super neat in there. A few zip ties, you can barely tell it's modified. I've gotten really clean with this. So that's back together. The cowls are back in. We cleaned all that out. The cabin filters are a little dirty, so we're going to replace those. He wants estimates for a couple things now that I'm going to work on tomorrow morning. One is the full LCI light conversion, head, tail lights, and the LMA, which is annoying because I've finally gotten that coded and working right, but I can do another one. For the facelift lights, it did change, so that's got to change, but quote that for him tomorrow. Then rear upper control arms. The whole suspension on this car is original, but the rear upper arms are really done. You can see the salt corrosion, especially on the diff cooler here. That has definitely seen some corrosive weather and salt and shit on the roads. No body rust, no chassis. The E60 is pretty bulletproof with that. The original SMG transmission, I've shown you this before, but it's all speckled too with salt dust, and something on the SMG side there was leaking in the valve block on top. But really, we're pretty damn close on this. Once we get the block off for the transmission cooler line, hear from him about the headlights, taillights, light module, and rear upper control arms. Then we've got road testing to do. We've got to bed in a new clutch, obviously. Flywheel stiffening plate has to go back on. For the O2 sensor wire management, these come off the SMG transmission, and then they're going to go on studs, but we have to pull the studs out of the SMG as well. There's one on each side, so you got to do the double nut technique to extract that stud. And there's another threaded stud over here. So we'll move those over. That'll be really clean and look super factory. Then we'll get that back together. Earlier today, the black 530, which is still out back, the check brake light is on because the rear pad wear sensor tripped. The pads are super low. Rotors look fine. So we're going to pad slap that tomorrow. I got the parts here, change the wear sensor. That'll fix that. Earlier today, the blue one also out here. Working on the cooling system. Fan and fan clutch are out. Radiator's drained. He wants to get on the phone tomorrow, the owner, and talk about what's next, if we're going to do a radiator and an expansion tank and all that preventatively, or if we're just going to put it back together and put in fresh fluid. We don't know yet. But if it were down lower, I'd show you that really it's just interior day on this to put everything back together. Everything but the driver's pedal box sealing, which is right here. And I've left that out for a few reasons. And I see one right now. I've got to cut the clutch part out of it. I guess I did that on the Sepang car. I have not yet done that on here. So we'll do that with a Dremel, make that look really nice. sand it down and then put that in. You can barely tell I've gotten pretty good with the hand tools like the Dremel. But I don't want to do that yet because the LMA is up there. We got to hear about the head and tail lights. Our cars are chilling. I'm taking mine home. This one, really, we're ready to make another day or two push and get it to about the same position that we're in on that one. This one's been here longer, but we've been waiting for the wheels to come back, which I think I showed you yesterday. In the meantime, I ordered a 335 E90 transmission cooler line set, and I've already lost the rest of the lines. They're over there on that wood table, but I cut off this part. This is where it goes into the transmission, and I'm thrilled to find that it's the same adapter. So these are the lines that go in. You put an O-ring here, they'll go into the transmission. Then this bracket holds those two lines, line here, 13 millimeter bolt. I got to order that. I'm going to order 10 of those. That holds it up nice and flush against the transmission. So I need this piece. I need to print like 10 of these, but it's aluminum, and Nate says you can't really 3D print aluminum. I don't know anything about that. So I'm going to have to take it somewhere and say, make me 10 of these, 20 of these, 50 of these, whatever, and then double this number for these. And I don't even need an elbow. All I need is enough of a block off that, you know, we just weld it shut or make it a cap or whatever it is just to block off those ports. So really I have one kit, less the O-rings. I can get the O-rings same day, no problem. One kit ready to go, but I want to make more because I need one here, I need one here, and I need at least 2 more for the upcoming jobs later this spring and summer. So with that, it's getting dark. I'm going to hit the road, go home, take a shower, and eat. I did exactly what I said I would. I came home, I showered, I ate dinner. We watched some YouTube, some Letterkenny, and some national news today. And I don't really have the energy to talk about it, so we're not. But it's a problem, and there needs to be change. I don't know if I left that in or not. A lot to think about. Anyways, 11:20. We got a lot to do tomorrow. Got a lot done today. Feels like a productive day. Talk to you on Wednesday, hump day.